All right, joining the show is Andrew Lieb with Lieb at Law, legal expert. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me. This is really a whirlwind what's happening with McCarthy and how he's listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene and not the Freedom Caucus, apparently.
Talk to me about this endorsement of an impeachment inquiry. What does it do by essentially getting his go-ahead?
Yeah, so he's directing all these three different aspects of the House, the Ways and Means, the judiciary. He's saying to the oversight, we need to open an impeachment inquiry. And what that means functionally is two things. Number one, politically, he's appeasing the Marjorie Taylor Greenes, the Donald Trumps that want the focus on Joe Biden and not on anyone else. Number two, in a substantive manner, what it means is that they now have subpoena power. Previously, witnesses didn't need to come. Previously, they didn't have the same scope and authority in investigations of tying Hunter Biden to Joe Biden. Now they can call witnesses. And as we saw with people like Navarro, if they don't follow forward with the House's subpoena power, you could end up in jail. That could be contempt of Congress. That's really the functional effect, Giacomo.
Now, does Speaker McCarthy have the unilateral power then to call an inquiry like this, or is this something that has to be done with those other committees essentially coming in to the mix?
So there's procedures that occur after, but he's directed it. It's happening. It's the reality right now. It's an impeachment inquiry. Now I have to put out, and McCarthy said it himself some months back, it's not an impeachment. It's not an impeachment hearing. It's not an impeachment referral. It's not an impeachment vote. It's an impeachment inquiry. And I know that word sounds like nothing, but it's a stark difference. An impeachment inquiry just means exactly what they were doing before, holding hearings and seeing witnesses. The only distinction is now the subpoena power. Nothing else has happened. President Biden has not been impeached. And as Ken Buck said, the Republican, the conservative Republican from Colorado, there's nothing yet, I'm paraphrasing, that has tied Joe Biden to high crimes and misdemeanors. So even people, the most conservative people in the Republicans, are saying we yet don't have evidence that's tying Joe Biden. So this is just an inquiry. It's just an investigation. That's all we're at right now, Giacomo.
What's this mean then for the former president? What's it mean for his son, Hunter Biden, also the target of a number of investigations?
So two different tracks. For the former president, Donald Trump, what this means is we're not talking about four indictments right now. We're not talking about all these different jurisdictions. We're not talking about Donald Trump seeking to remove Chutkan, the DC judge, the district judge, on preposterous grounds that's never going to happen, especially since she has discretion. Now, what it means is that we're talking about Joe Biden. It means very little for Hunter Biden except the spotlight's on him. With respect to Hunter Biden, if you remember, we already had the special counsel, the newly minted special counsel, remove the case, dismiss the case in Delaware so he can proceed in either DC or California. That's happening. There's a criminal case happening with Hunter Biden. There's going to be a spotlight on it. There's going to be people watching it. But really what it means is there a causal link? And the causal link, what does that mean? It means, did what Hunter Biden do have anything to do with President Biden, whether he was vice president, whether he was a public citizen? Did he do anything criminal? And right now, as Ken Buck said again, as Ken Buck said, there's nothing that ties him to high crimes and misdemeanors. I've reported this with you before. Right now, there's nothing that says beyond speculation that Joe Biden's involved. There's witnesses, there's speculations, but there's nothing that has got to that point yet. Maybe an impeachment inquiry with subpoena power gets them there. But as of right now, all it does is put pressure on, oversight on, and a spotlight on Joe Biden, which is good. It's always good to keep public officials in check.
What do you think this means, though, for the overall process of impeachment itself? I mean, we've seen two of these in the last, 6 years? Two actual impeachments. With the former president, of course. Now you have the other party bringing this impeachment inquiry against the current president of the opposite party. What does that mean for the political process and how people view it here in America?
Well, the way people view it is in America depends on which social media channels you go on. On certain social media channels right now, they're saying eye for an eye, go after the Democrats. The Biden crime family, go get them. They're terrible. They're awful. They're manipulating power to get Hunter Biden rich. They're funneling money into aliases. But Joe Biden, how many aliases does this guy have? In the Corvette with the documents? We need to reel these people in. In other social media channels, they're saying this is corruption. This is just the Republicans doing this to go after and distract against Donald Trump. It's preposterous. It's ridiculous. Even Republicans in the House Freedom Caucus say there's no evidence. It's Kevin McCarthy trying to stay in power, and he's doing that to be able to adhere to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who have threatened not to fund the government unless they get what they want. She has a temper tantrum, and now we have an impeachment inquiry. Now, down the line, down the middle, Fox Live Now, you and me, reality, what we're saying is that there are three different processes. There's an impeachment inquiry. There's an impeachment in the House where we have the House vote that they're going to impeach. And then we have a trial in the Senate where there's a removal. With Donald Trump, he got to step two. They voted in the House and they sent it over to the Senate and they had a trial, and the Senate did not convict and didn't do the removal. Here we're only on step one. Step one gives subpoena power. They're going to be investigating, and we'll see what they got. And as they get things, if they get things, if witnesses come, we're going to be reporting on that too, because we live in reality, not on either of the political spectrums of spin zones.
Yeah, absolutely. In the middle of all this craziness, trying to bring people kind of the center and try to understand this in a more contextual way rather than the political noise that there is on the perspective lefts and rights. Andrew, how far away do you think that we could be from hearing anything further in terms of what this actual inquiry finds?
We're a million years away or just a second. It takes one witness. It's that causal link again. Everyone says things like Joe Biden was on the phone calls. Joe Biden was used to intimidate. Joe Biden's part of Burisma. But so far to date, including, by the way, when McConnell was in charge, when Trump was the president, they cleared Joe Biden of the Burisma stuff on a Senate investigation. So far, we have not seen that linkage. So far, we haven't seen that Joe Biden is the guy that is orchestrating this stuff. So far, we haven't seen that he abused his office, or as Ken Buck says, we haven't seen evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors, which is the standard. But it just takes one witness, one credible witness, one hearing to change all of that. In fact, that's how it changes with all criminal law. You're innocent, you're doing your great life, everything's going along until you did something wrong and there's evidence against you. I'm in the evidence game. Once there's evidence, let's hope they move forward and plow forward and remove Joe Biden from office. If there's evidence of high crimes and misdemeanors, let's do it. But what's going on is there's a game of conjecture, there's a game of speculation. And people say things like, do your own research. You know if you know. You don't know if you know. You only know when there's evidence. Evidence is actual evidence. We need to see that Joe Biden did this. Maybe this impeachment inquiry will get us to the level of evidence. Maybe it will take one subpoena, one thing, and then we'll be on a plow, a hurricane, a jet plane to getting Joe Biden to be impeached and removed from office. Maybe we'll hear a lot of the same. We'll go on for this for the next 2 years, and they'll never find a shred of evidence. And I have to remind you, Joe Biden's been in office his entire career. And how old do we say he is now? He's ancient. The guy's ancient. He's been in since he's a young tite. He was one of the youngest guys. They've never got anything on him. So maybe something will happen, but until it does, they got nothing. That's the way the world works, Giacomo.
A year out from the November election in 2024, all of these different things kind of coming up to this boiling point. What do you expect this next year to kind of look like as we have several trials against the former president and the prospective primary taker for the Republicans, and then now this inquiry against the current president, obviously going to play out in the press, going to be playing out in the public eye over the next many months, used in the campaign fodder. How does this kind of twist the perspective of American viewers who are watching this?
I want to say organized, predictable chaos. Organized, predictable chaos. What do I mean by that? Chaos is, can you believe, look back on your life, can you believe that we have Donald Trump indicted in 4 jurisdictions? Can you believe that there's chatter that maybe a sitting senator, Lindsey Graham, could be a target maybe Ted Cruz could be a target. There's chatter. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying it's chatter. Can you believe that there's an impeachment inquiry against the sitting president? In my lifetime, I wouldn't think these things would happen. I thought it was Nixon. That was the end of this. But it's predictable. It's predictable. Why is it predictable? Because whenever one side does something, the other side has op research, and then they manufacture news on the other side, and we go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I think what's going to happen is our tribal politics are going to be having, like we were now the Bills and the Jets last night, cheering one side, cheering the other side, cheering one side. We don't know what's going to happen next because our team isn't up next. Who knows what team's going to happen next? Maybe we hit a post on a field goal. Maybe there's a punt return for a touchdown. It's going to be because people have turned politics into sports and they don't just watch their football teams anymore. At the end of the day, people are going to be cheering, booing, booing, booing. I'm a facts guy, though. So what I think is going to happen is the judicial system is going to play out. I think we're going to see evidence in the U.S. House with this impeachment inquiry in three different, we have the Ways and Means, we have judiciary, we have oversight. I think these are going to play out. But at the end of the day, what I think is going to happen is certain things have evidence so far, certain things don't. So if I was a betting man, I'd say Donald Trump and his orbit have problems. Joe Biden and his orbit don't. Hunter Biden has big problems. It all depends on the evidence. So let's follow the evidence. Let's cheer for sports. Let's not cheer for politics. And let's give legitimacy to our three branches of government again. That's what I think I would hope plays out in the next year.
Andrew Lieb helping us through all the noise, all the political noise that's coming out right now and really has been over the past several years. Thanks for joining us. Anything I didn't ask you? Anything you'd like to add?
The only thing I'll say, just to add on, is let's go Jets. What a win last night.
Thanks so much. Andrew Lieb there. Always appreciate us and a good New Yorker cheering on the Jets. We hope Aaron Rodgers has a good recovery. Thanks so much.